Let me take you into the world of the once internet sensation classic American TV show The Vampire Diaries. The story takes place in Mystic Falls. The protagonist, Elena, whose parents passed away, moved in with her Aunt Jenna, along with her younger brother, Jeremy. Elena enjoys writing in her diary, where she documents her life. On the first day of school, Elena is determined to move on from the past and become a new version of herself. A breaking news report on TV interrupts, covering the story of a couple who were attacked and killed by a mysterious creature the night before. Elena has two close friends, Bonnie and Caroline. When the three friends reunite, a round of greetings is naturally in order. Jeremy, however, is more of a troublemaker, frequently turning to illegal substances to numb the pain in his heart. The girl he has feelings for, Vicki, has also fallen for someone else. This morning, the school welcomes a new transfer student. The boy's handsome back alone attracted the attention of countless girls, but the boy's transfer documents were incomplete. And just as the teacher hesitated over whether to deny his enrollment, the boy took off his sunglasses, revealing a pair of deep, mesmerizing eyes.
I'm sure everything you need is there.
Well, you're right.
Subsequently, the teacher immediately approved his application for admission. Recently, Bonnie has become obsessed with the idea of being a medium and even predicts that the new boy is going to be handsome. Elena chuckles at the thought, but at that moment, she spots her brother hurrying off and quickly follows him. Elena chased after him all the way to the boys' bathroom, only to find her brother using illegal substances on the very first day of school. Without holding back, she harshly scolds him, but rebellious Jeremy is having none of it. Meanwhile, the mysterious transfer student finally reveals himself, drawing stares from every girl he passes. As he makes his way to the bathroom, he accidentally bumps into Elena. Sparks fly between them in an instant.
Is this the men's room?
Yes,
And so, their bond begins right at the entrance of the boys' bathroom. After school, Elena went to the town cemetery by herself. Sitting in front of her parents' gravestone, she wrote in her diary, as if pouring out her troubles to her parents in another world.
When someone asks, "How are you?" they really don't want an answer.
Suddenly, a crow lands nearby, cawing incessantly, and a thick fog starts to rise in the graveyard. A crow, fog, and a cemetery, the combination instantly turns eerie. A frightened Elena decides to leave. That's when she notices a figure standing behind a statue, obscured by mist, its face hidden but radiating a chilling presence. Elena quickens her pace, only to trip and fall in her haste. When she gets back on her feet, a man appears before her. It's the new transfer student. He, too, has come to pay respects to a family member. For reasons unknown, his appearance seems to make the fog lift somewhat. They introduce themselves. The boy's name is Stefan, and the faint smile on his face makes Elena feel an unexpected sense of warmth. Elena noticed the ring on Stefan's finger, antique, bulky, and quite unique. Stefan merely said it was an heirloom, clearly unwilling to discuss it further. It was only then that Elena realized her ankle was scraped, and as she rolled up her pant leg, Stefan immediately turned away. His eyes were like deep, dark voids, and in a firm, almost commanding tone, he spoke.
He should go.
That night, Stefan calmed himself by writing in his journal. After all, for a vampire, time is endless, and if he didn't write things down, he might forget everything after 100 years. As a vampire who follows a strict vegetarian diet, Stefan hadn't fed on human blood in a long time. He survived solely on animal blood. For the sake of a girl named Elena, this centuries-old vampire had chosen to return to school and live as an ordinary person. Because he found Elena's diary during the day, Stefan went to her house to return it. They both shared a love for journaling, something they could bond over, a shared interest. According to legend, a vampire can only enter someone's house if invited. Stefan stood at the door for a long time, hesitating, never daring to step forward. In just one day, they had fallen for each other. As the old saying goes, when it's the right person, one glance is enough to fall in love. Sadly, this was bad news for Elena's ex-boyfriend, Matt. At that moment, Matt was asking Bonnie about how Elena was doing. Bonnie assured him that Elena was still grieving the loss of her parents, which was why she wasn't ready for a relationship. She encouraged Matt to give Elena more time. Little did Matt know, Elena already had a new flame.
More time, huh?
Although Matt viewed Stefan as a rival in love, he was gracious about it. The three friends Elena, Bonnie, and Caroline were all curious about the new transfer student. Stefan claimed he had left home when he was young and had only recently returned. Now, he was living with his uncle. The next night, the school was hosting a back-to-school party, and they agreed to attend together. When Stefan returned to his mansion, his so-called uncle, who was really the housekeeper Zach, confronted him about the murders reported in the newspapers. By age, Zach should be calling Stefan uncle. Zach assumed Stefan had started feeding on human blood again, but Stefan denied it vehemently. He had sworn off human blood. Zach could only warn Stefan that although the town had been peaceful for many years, the older generation still remembered what had happened long ago. Their conversation ended in disagreement. Stefan opened a wooden cabinet, revealing dozens of journals he'd written over the years. In one of them was an old photograph of a woman who looked strikingly similar to Elena. At the school party, despite Matt's watchful gaze and Caroline's flirtatious glances, Stefan's eyes were only on Elena. The cheerful atmosphere was suddenly shattered by a scream. Vicki was found severely injured, her neck bearing bite marks, and she had lost a lot of blood. Stefan in the crowd dares not approach. He has already realized the gravity of the situation. There are other vampires in the town. Without lingering any longer, Stefan hurried back to the mansion. A crow flew into his bedroom, and everything suddenly became clear to him. At the same time, a man appeared behind him.
Damon. Hello, brother.
Damon, with his deep eyes and a faint smile, exuded a dangerous yet irresistible charm. The brothers meet again after 15 years, but Stefan is on guard. It turned out that the crow and the fog in the cemetery had been Damon's doing, and naturally, he was the one who attacked Vicki. But Vicki wasn't dead. Stefan knew his brother's ways. Damon rarely left anyone alive. Damon, however, expressed his regret.
That could be a problem. For you.
Damon lived freely without any restraints, but Stefan, in order to protect himself, was always cleaning up his brother's mess. Now, Vicki, the girl who was attacked, had also become Stefan's problem. Learning that his brother was also here for Elena, he proposed that they drain Elena's blood together. Stefan was furious. With one leap, he slammed his brother out of the mansion, but Damon was completely unscathed and even managed to steal Stefan's ring. The ring protected vampires from the sunlight, and Damon had one as well. Stefan was left speechless. He still had to go to school tomorrow. Damon smirked as he tossed the ring back to him. The moment Stefan lowered his guard, his brother grabbed him by the throat and hurled him dozens of feet away. An unpredictable and mercurial enemy is truly the most terrifying.
You lost that fight when you stopped feeding on people. I wouldn't try it again.
Worried about Elena's safety, Stefan went to check on her. Little did he know, Damon had already set his sights on a new target: Elena's best friend, Caroline. No woman could resist Damon's smile.
Would you like to come in?
Yes.
Because of the bite marks on her neck, everyone assumed Vicki had been attacked by an animal. But before she could reveal the truth upon waking, a shadowy figure flashed into her hospital room, moving faster than any human could. Stefan used his mind control abilities to erase her memories, implanting the thought, "You were attacked by a wild animal." After cleaning up his brother's mess, Stefan was about to leave the hospital, but when he saw the bags of blood, he instinctively stopped in his tracks. The allure of fresh blood made him lose focus for a moment, only to be spotted by Vicki's brother, Matt. Matt, who was in the same class as Stefan, immediately grew suspicious. When Vicki woke up, it was as if she had forgotten all about the vampire attack. Whether it was Matt or Jeremy, who secretly loved her, Vicki insisted it had been an animal that attacked her. Meanwhile, Elena shared her recent date with Stefan with her best friends. Upon hearing that they hadn't even held hands, social queen Caroline teased Elena for being too conservative. Encouraged by her friends, Elena realized she had been holding back too much and decided to visit Stefan to deepen their relationship. When Elena arrived at Stefan's mansion, she was stunned by the classic yet luxurious decor of the living room. Suddenly, a crow swooped past her. Startled, Elena turned to find a handsome man standing behind her. It was Stefan's brother, the wicked Damon. Damon warmly welcomed Elena, casually bringing up stories from Stefan's past, including his former girlfriend, Catherine. This topic made Elena feel extremely uncomfortable. Just as Damon betrayed his brother, Stefan appeared silently, his eyes filled with anger and the intent to kill. Sensing the tension between the two brothers, Elena politely excused herself and left. After she left, Damon reverted to his devil-may-care attitude. Stefan furiously said, "I cleaned up your mess at the hospital, and you're here trying to steal my girl." Damon simply advised his brother, "If you're not feeding on human blood, your compulsion won't last." Damon took pleasure in tormenting Stefan. Stefan wanted to experience a normal human love life, but Damon was intent on pushing him to embrace his true vampire nature. Just as Damon had said, Stefan's vegetarian diet left him weakened, and the compulsion he used on Vicki was starting to fade. She often dreamed about the real events. The secret of vampires may be revealed at any time. Tonight, a meteor shower was set to streak across the town, and the school was buzzing with excitement. Everyone held candles, ready to make wishes when the meteors appeared. But Elena, after learning about Stefan's ex-girlfriend, couldn't shake the feeling that she was just a replacement. To make matters worse, Stefan was evasive whenever the topic of Catherine came up. After Vicki was discharged from the hospital, she ran into Damon, who seemed oddly familiar to her. Damon, already looking for a way to mess with his brother, saw the perfect opportunity. So, Damon kidnapped Vicki and summoned his brother. Stefan leaped onto the rooftop, confused about what game his brother was playing this time. Damon tossed Vicki at Stefan's feet, calling it a gift. "Go ahead, eat her." Naturally, Stefan refused, but Damon had more tricks up his sleeve. Stefan's compulsion had already worn off, and Damon rehypnotized Vicki, twisting the truth, framing his brother as the attacker.
He's a vampire. A vicious, murderous monster.
As a predator who fed on humans, Damon was much stronger, and the false memory he planted in Vicki's mind of Stefan as the culprit was now deeply rooted. Damon was forcing Stefan into a corner. Either he fed on Vicki, or the secret of vampires would be exposed. Still, Stefan refused. He angrily told his brother, "I, Stefan, would rather have my identity exposed and be staked through the heart by humans than take a single drop of human blood.
Because at least I'll be free of you."
These words are so hurtful, and Damon's heart is bleeding, but he hides it well with a forced smile. Then Damon lifted Vicki and whispered something in her ear. Instantly, Vicki forgot everything that had just happened. Damon spread his hands with mock innocence, as if to say, "See, brother? I still love you." Vicki was completely confused, unaware that she had nearly become a meal tonight. Stefan found himself more and more baffled by his brother's behavior.
What are you up to, Damon?
That's for me to know and for you to... ... Give Elena my best.
When Stefan returned to the bar, he realized Elena had already left. Bonnie gave Elena's phone number to Stefan, but the moment their fingers touched, Bonnie suddenly jolted, looking at Stefan in shock.
What happened to you? That's so rude. I'm sorry, excuse me.
It seemed Bonnie wasn't an ordinary person, either. On Caroline's way home, Damon, whom she had briefly encountered at the bar, appeared. It took Damon less than a second to make the girl fall hopelessly in love with him. Meanwhile, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that she had been overthinking everything tonight. She sought out Stefan, and their light-hearted conversation gradually turned into a tender confession. Soon after, they kissed. Damon, on the other hand, was always more direct. Every time Bonnie saw Stefan, she made a point to avoid him, which left Elena feeling puzzled. Determined to fix Bonnie's impression of Stefan, she invited both of them to dinner. During their chat, a rugby ball suddenly came hurtling toward them at high speed, and in a split second, Stefan spun around and caught it effortlessly. Everyone there was stunned. Stefan returned the favor to Tyler, who deliberately caused him trouble. In history class, Stefan stole the spotlight once again. As someone who had lived through the past century, he could perfectly recall every historical event down to the exact date. The history teacher was completely humiliated in his own domain by a student. Following Elena's suggestion, Stefan decided to join the rugby team. What he didn't expect was that the team coach would be none other than Mr. Tanner. The history teacher, Matt, the team captain, wasn't pleased to see Stefan join either. Tyler, trying to stir things up, encouraged Matt with, "On the field, there's always a bit of rough play," but Stefan, with his swift reflexes, effortlessly avoided their every attempt. Tyler was furious, while Matt began to feel a sense of admiration. Vampires have extremely heightened senses, and Stefan overheard every bit of Matt and Tyler's scheming. This time, though, Stefan didn't dodge Tyler's tackle. To fit in, he knew he had to play the role of a normal person. After school, Elena invited Stefan and Bonnie to dinner, hoping to smooth things over between them. During their conversation, Stefan learned that Bonnie's family originated from Salem and had witch ancestry. After some sincere compliments from Stefan, their relationship began to thaw. Unexpectedly, Damon and Caroline showed up uninvited. Damon used Caroline as his entry point to infiltrate Elena's circle, while Stefan looked on with disdain. Stefan quickly interrupted Elena's invitation. Without an invitation from the homeowner, a vampire cannot enter a house. But Elena, unaware of Damon's true nature, extended the invitation. Damon stepped into the house with a smug grin on his face.
You have a beautiful home, Elena.
Thank you.
The vampire brothers were both in love with the same girl, but Damon's tactics were far more underhanded. He controlled Caroline to keep Stefan occupied while he made his move on Elena, because Stefan refused to talk about his ex, Catherine. Elena turned to Damon for answers. When Catherine came up, Damon became visibly saddened, admitting that she had perished in a fire. He described Catherine as mysterious, selfish, and unkind, but undeniably sexy and captivating. Elena, perceptive as ever, quickly deduced that both brothers had once loved Catherine, and she offered Damon her sympathy. "I'm sorry you lost her, too." For a moment, Damon seemed caught off guard, as if Elena had touched a soft spot deep inside him. Meanwhile, in the living room, Stefan noticed that Caroline had been wearing a scarf the entire evening. No matter what, she refused to take it off, and that's when Stefan realized his brother had used compulsion to control her. Just then, Damon returned to the room. After he dismissed Caroline, Stefan angrily confronted him.
She's not a puppet. She doesn't exist for your amusement, for you to feed on whenever you want to.
Sure she does. They all do.
Damon, however, wasn't fazed and fired back. I've already been invited in by Elena. From now on, I can enter this house every night. What are you going to do about it? After the dinner party, everyone went their separate ways. Stefan, feeling troubled, wrote in his diary. Reflecting on the evening, he still believed there was a sliver of humanity left in his brother. The problem was figuring out how to help Damon rediscover and embrace it. That night, Elena had an intimate dream. She and Stefan were about to do something romantic, but at the last moment, Stefan's face turned into Damon's. Elena woke up in shock. Could this dream suggest that Elena was beginning to develop some subtle feelings for Damon? She didn't notice that Damon's crow was perched just outside the window, watching her. The next day, Stefan gifted Elena a pendant antique in design, containing vervain, with a faint, pleasant scent. Stefan, thinking he understood his brother, said, "You won't hurt Elena." The wolves had always lost on their home turf. But now, with a powerful new player, victory was finally within reach. Stefan became the center of attention. Tyler, an old player, was very dissatisfied. As it happened, Jeremy, who had a crush on his girlfriend, was also there. So Tyler deliberately provoked Jeremy into fighting and then took his revenge. Jeremy, being Elena's younger brother, wasn't someone Stefan could just ignore. Young and reckless, Jeremy didn't know how to hold back, and in his violent rage, he seized the chance to strike a fatal blow. Fortunately, Stefan pushed Tyler out of the way, but his own hand was slashed by a broken beer bottle, bleeding profusely. By the time Elena arrived, Stefan's hand had already healed, but Elena couldn't believe that she had clearly seen the glass cut Stefan's hand. Growing suspicious, Elena sought out Bonnie, asking her why she was so afraid of Stefan. Bonnie confessed that when she touched Stefan, she had a dark premonition and saw a series of numbers.
8, 14, 22.
Yeah.
When I touched Stefan, it was a feeling, and it vibrated through me, and it was cold. It was death.
Those numbers had been troubling Bonnie all day. Meanwhile, Damon took advantage of Stefan being occupied with the game and went after Elena. Unlike his brother, Damon had no patience. He planned to use compulsion on her.
And right now, you want to kiss me?
Seeing the dazed look in Elena's eyes, Damon thought he had successfully compelled her. To his surprise, she slapped him hard across the face. Damon was stunned. His compulsion, which had never failed in over a century, didn't work on this girl, but Damon quickly figured it out. It was his brother's doing. The necklace Stefan had given Elena was infused with vervain, a herb that blocked vampire compulsion. Still, Damon wasn't discouraged.
Guess I could just seduce her the old-fashioned way. Or I could just eat her.
No, you're not gonna hurt her.
Stefan, thinking he understood his brother, said, "You won't hurt Elena. Deep down, you still have a shred of humanity left." Facing Stefan's persuasion, Damon appeared to be very impatient, as if his brother had seen through his heart. Stefan was certain Damon was only pretending to be a monster. Damon, at a loss for words, couldn't argue with him. He couldn't bring himself to actually kill his brother, but his pride wouldn't let him admit it. Just then, Coach Tanner appeared, and Damon found the perfect way to prove he was a true demon. In an instant, Damon moved in front of Tanner, sinking his fangs deep into Tanner's neck, greedily draining his blood. Tanner's body was soon discovered. At the scene, Bonnie saw 3 sets of numbers, the exact ones she had foreseen. Stefan's last hope for his brother was shattered. He wrote it all down in his diary.